Washington Commanders fans, welcome back to Commanders HQ. Your team is on a mission, constantly improving, making bold moves, and positioning itself as a true contender in the NFL. If you're as excited about the future of this franchise as we are, smash that like button and subscribe to stay updated with all things Commanders. Now, let's get into today's big topics. Once again, the Washington Commanders have a massive offseason ahead of them. After a spectacular 2024 season that saw them win 12 games and reach the NFC Championship game, the goal now is clear. Keep building on that momentum. With a strong foundation laid by General Manager Adam Peters and Head Coach Dan Quinn, Washington is ready to take the next step. But Peters knows this isn't the time to be complacent. With quarterback Jayden Daniels still on his rookie contract, now is the time to be aggressive in free agency and surround him with top-tier talent. Washington has approximately $78 million in cap space, and one name that keeps coming up as a perfect addition is Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Tee Higgins. ESPN's Matt Bowen is strongly urging Washington to make a big move and sign Higgins, stating, "Adding another perimeter target for quarterback Jayden Daniels should be an off-season priority for Washington. It has the cap space to pair Higgins with Terry McLaurin, giving Daniels two difference makers in the passing game. There's no denying the potential impact of such a move." Higgins, standing at 6'4", brings size, athleticism, and a proven ability to make contested catches. He's been a reliable weapon for Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, and pairing him with McLaurin would give Washington one of the most dynamic receiving duos in the league. Defenses would have to pick their poison, double McLaurin and leave Higgins one-on-one, or vice versa. Of course, there are financial considerations. Spotrac projects Higgins' market value at around $25.5 million annually, which would likely translate to a 4-year, $100 million contract. That's a significant investment, but for a team looking to take the next step and build an elite offense, it might just be worth it. Washington does have other priorities in free agency, including re-signing key players and addressing needs on defense. But if Higgins is available, it would be wise for Peters to at least make a serious offer. This would signal to the rest of the NFL that the Commanders are all in on competing for a Super Bowl in year 2 of the Jayden Daniels era. As if that weren't enough excitement, speculation is heating up about a potential blockbuster trade for Cleveland Browns superstar defensive end Myles Garrett. This isn't just wild fan speculation. There are legitimate reasons to believe Washington could be a top landing spot for the all-pro pass rusher. Garrett has reportedly grown frustrated with the Browns' direction and doesn't want to spend his prime years on a struggling team. He has formally requested a trade, doubling down on that stance during his recent media appearances. However, Cleveland is reluctant to move one of the league's most dominant defensive players. Despite the Browns' resistance, multiple insiders believe the Commanders are one of the most logical trade partners. ESPN's Bill Barnwell even named Washington as the most likely trade destination for Garrett, stating, "The Commanders have the championship potential, the financial flexibility, and the clear and obvious need for pass rushing help. Garrett would be the transformative player Quinn's defenses have usually needed to thrive. There's no denying the impact Garrett could have on this defense. Under Dan Quinn, elite pass rushers have always been a staple of his best defenses. From Bobby Wagner and Richard Sherman in Seattle to Micah Parsons in Dallas. Adding Garrett to a defensive core that already features Darren Payne, Johnny Newton, Frankie Louvu, Mike Sainristil, and Marshon Lattimore could turn Washington into a defensive powerhouse. The biggest challenge? The price tag. The Browns are expected to demand at least 2 first-round picks, and Garrett would likely require a market-resetting contract extension. That's a steep price to pay, and some fans worry about the long-term impact of such a move. But let's look at the upside. Garrett is a game wrecker, a player that offensive coordinators have to scheme against every single week. He's durable, having played at an elite level for years, and he's still just 29 years old. If Washington is serious about making a deep playoff push, acquiring Garrett could be the type of move that puts them over the top. It's become a tradition in the NFL for the defending Super Bowl champions to kick off the new season with a high-profile matchup on Thursday Night Football in Week 1.
Given that the Philadelphia Eagles took home the Lombardi Trophy last season, most fans and analysts expect them to host a worthy opponent under the bright lights of opening night.
And let's be honest, anytime the Commanders face the Eagles, it makes for great television. Add in the fact that Washington met Philly in last season's NFC Championship game, and you have the makings of an instant classic. But what if I told you there might be an even better opening week matchup for the Commanders? While a Commanders-Eagles showdown would be a thrilling NFC Championship game rematch, another intriguing Week 1 matchup is gaining traction. Imagine the Washington Commanders opening the season against the Detroit Lions at Northwest Stadium in Landover, Maryland. This wouldn't just be any game. It would be a rematch of last season's intense divisional round playoff battle.
Think about it. The league could keep its traditional Super Bowl champion opener intact, while also giving fans another marquee matchup on Sunday or Monday Night Football. Two teams hungry to take the next step, two fan bases ready to explode, and two quarterbacks looking to solidify their places among the NFL's best.
That sounds like a can't-miss event. Detroit Lions star wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown recently weighed in on the Week 1 debate. On his podcast, he laid out the list of teams that could potentially face the Eagles in the opening game, which includes the Commanders, Cowboys, Giants, Bears, Lions, Raiders, Rams, and Broncos. Can I read you the list of teams that could potentially be in that first game? St. Brown asked. Commanders, Cowboys, Giants, Bears, Lions, Raiders, Rams, Broncos. Out of all those teams, if you're the NFL, who are you putting in there? He's got a point. The league typically wants either a playoff team or a key rival to make the opener as exciting as possible. That means the eligible teams that fit those criteria are Washington, Dallas, Detroit, Los Angeles, and Denver. The Broncos might not be the best option, considering they're an AFC team that didn't make the playoffs last season. The Rams could be a possibility, but with questions surrounding their roster and quarterback situation, they might not have the same appeal by the time September rolls around. That leaves three prime choices: the Commanders, the Lions, and the Cowboys. And let's be real, the NFL loves putting America's team in primetime, so there's always a strong chance that Dallas could get the nod to face the Eagles. But if that happens, Detroit heading to Washington for a must-watch showdown would
be an ideal way to fill the Sunday or Monday night slot in Week 1.